Ultimus is a mock originally created by Lego Man 71. The original design featured on the left, and my version featured on the right. The change in this model is that I used this mask, which is the updated version of Surge's mask. I only did this one because I thought it would look more like a futuristic version of Ultimus. And yeah. Also, obviously, his armor print does not exist in official LEGO, so I had to go with something that did. But speaking of this is a good time to talk about color scheming. Obviously, if you're a fan of LEGO Bionicle mocking, you'll probably know the annoyance of these things right here, red ball joints. But they only typically work on a red mock, you'd think. Although, he's blue. What do you see on his chest piece? Red. And it carries on right where the ball joints are, creating for a red striping effect, which almost makes it seem like it's intentionally placed there, and definitely not because I was running low on black ball joints. Although, funny enough, I would have had enough for him, but I saw the red kind of looked okay and kept it together. Now, obviously, there's probably more changes than just the mask and that piece, but those are really noticeable ones. Some other notable things include these winglets right here. I didn't have the ones they used because I'm pretty sure those don't exist, so I use these instead. And yeah, also rare piece. Just love using rare parts. Yeah, let's get into construction of him. All of Ultimus's limbs are pretty simple CCS designs, just basic CCS parts. And this is the same, except I did add a little bit of detail right here. Just fleshes it out more, so instead of being really skinnier here, it is thicker. But also makes it so it doesn't bend. Because, you know, as soon as you pull it out, it has a free rotation. So it's hard to demonstrate with one hand. One thing I really wanted to do with Ultimus, just to set him apart from being a standard CCS figure, was give him a custom torso. Use the same hip design that I always use, as you may have seen in the video that the first mock review I did about that character right there. I don't know if you can tell, but it's the very same hip joint. This one's just a little bit wider. I then also had to beef it up with these parts, and I don't know if you can really tell in there, but uses a lot of like technic on technic construction. The interesting thing about him, though, is in order to get a fleshed out top, I had to take broken joints and fill them in, so it ends up looking like that. Just fleshes it out more. There was no real other way to fill it. Also, there is a tube, as you can see, going around here. It just adds in some more detail. When you place this on, tuck it in, lines up nicely. Adds more color. Lastly, I wanted to keep this guy as posable as I possibly could. This is helped by having double joint in here for his elbow? No, not elbow. Wow, that shoulder, not an elbow. A standard elbow, actually kind of, not really. You can bend it this way too, which looks broken, but it's the only real way to achieve certain movements that humans can do. Standard hand, I'm gonna give him fingers, just don't have the fingers at the time. As for the hip, he has a not great articulation in the hip, just due to the way this piece works. It blocks into that, but it looks nice. So he can't go forward, unfortunately, at the hip, but he can bend back a little bit. Yeah, it's hard to demonstrate with one hand. He can definitely get some twisting in. Not a ton, but that's enough. He can do some of this, though. That is nice. He can do that. But something that I think a lot more people should try and do, as you saw in the video earlier in the construction, I was showing how he had this black piece right here. Well, this is to hold this trans blue piece in, so it allows it to do this when folded up. Which you might be thinking, well, the normal joint is pretty similar. Not really when you have this much armor. The more armored the character is, the harder it is to get this level of articulation. And also, it doesn't really add any weak points, just only has more posability, which I don't think anyone would ever argue against. But yeah, that's Ultimus, doing whatever ballerina pose he's doing right now.
Here's a brief bit of lore on Ultimus. He was once a normal high schooler, but that all changed when an interdimensional rift opened and thrust him into the battle between Autobots and Decepticons. He was given a suit so that he could help fight against the Decepticons, but after a fateful battle, he was turned into a Cybertronian cyborg. This gave him many abilities, including mass displacement, an incredible healing factor, being able to create any weapon he thinks of, and also transforming. If you liked this video, why don't you watch the first mock review I did? And funny enough, it's also a blue character. And the next one does have some blue too, but it's primarily red. I'm definitely not prejudiced towards blue colors. No, not at all.